One of my followers is getting a divorce and they reach out to me via Instagram and they said, "Hey, I'm getting a divorce. I need to figure out what's next." And they gave me everything that's going on in their business life. And they said, "What would you do?" In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what I would do if I was in this guy's shoes. So let's jump into it. By the way, I changed this guy's name, so you can't look him up. You can't stalk him. Also, he is looking to get into some NDA or SBA type of stuff. So small business administration, to get a loan for a business. He had to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So I'm going to change a lot of the stuff on this, but it'll be about the same context. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me know how you like these videos, by the way. It's a new style for me. It's a new format. All right, so here it goes. So first off, let's talk about him. This guy's name is Mr. M, by the way. We're going to call him Mr. M. So Mr. M is getting a divorce. So he's getting divorced in a communal state. If you don't know what that means your wife is going to take you for half, probably more. So, and he has kids. So there's going to be a whole custody thing. It's like a lot of drama. Maybe they're good co-parents. Probably not, but that's going to be the situation. And he is getting a new job, and his new job has a $250,000 salary. Not a bad income. Keep in mind, it's probably going to have to pay child support. So he's looking to buy a business, and let's just make believe that this business is a parking light install and maintenance business. That's not what it is, but let's just make believe what it is. It's in that same niche. It's in a similar niche. So imagine that he's selling parking lot lighting installs and maintenance for commercial and municipal clients. He has contacts already personally, and his father is well connected at the city and state level. So here's his plan. So that's his situation. That's his position. Now this is his plan. His plan is kind of, sort of not figured out. That's why he messaged me. And so his plan is get the job, buy the business, the parking lot lighting business, run the business while having a job. This is where I get confused. I'm like, hey, okay, how do you buy and acquire this business, but have a job at the same time? How's that going to work out? So he says after he runs a business while having a full-time job, how's that going to work out? He's going to hire a gym. When, who, are they qualified? This is where my brain starts saying red alert, red alert, red alert. He's going to hire a GM. Then he's going to optimize the business. Then he's going to have the business run without his involvement. And then he's going to buy another business. And then he's going to do it all over again. He's going to run that business. Probably will quit his job because the first business will stabilize. Hire a GM, optimize the business, have the business run without him, buy another business, and then repeat. So he wants to get in the entrepreneurship game. This guy's a player. By the way, if you're watching this video, you are a player too. You should always consider yourself as such. You are a player on the chessboard of the entrepreneurship game. So here's where I see some real talk challenges coming through, man. So this is going to be really hard to do with a job. At a job, you have responsibilities. You're getting paid a good income. You're getting paid a good income because there's probably some very specialized skill that you need to contribute to the field or to the company. You're not just going to get a job and someone's going to say, yeah, let me just pay $250,000 to mess around and send memes all day and run your business on the side. They're not going to let you do that. They're going to want you to be focused and proactive. You're probably going to have a lot of ownership, a lot of duties, a lot of responsibility. You mentioned you're going through a divorce. You have kids. This is going to be difficult and a challenge to do with split custody. Oh, I got to pick up the kids. Oh, I got to do that. That's going to throw a wrench in your plans. Not impossible, but it's going to be something that you have to account for. So just keep that in mind. So my goal today is to look at 2 plays that I would run if I was in your shoes. I'm going to give you plan A and plan B. And for those of you guys watching, if you stay all the way to the very end, I'm going to give you a bonus where I'll share 2 strategies that you may want to consider if you're in this position. Now let's analyze the deal. All right, I want to give you guys a warning. I am not an underwriter. I am not a certified financial professional, and I strongly recommend for you to work with a professional and audit this deal. Let's get into the deal. So the asking price for this is $1.9 million. That's what the asking price is for this. $1.9 million. So how do we base that? Let's get into that. So the owner take-home pay, also known as the SDE, they had a hot year, I'll explain this a lot later, of $544,000. So in their steady year, they had $350,000 and conservatively at $220,000. So what is SDE? It's the seller's discretionary earnings. SDE, seller's discretionary earnings. Say it with me. Seller's discretionary earnings. SDE, seller's discretionary earnings, is not the same as profit. SDE includes the owner's salary, the personal expenses of the owner, and other discretionary expenses that don't appear in net profit. Net profit shows what remains after all expenses are paid. So the SDE paints a fuller picture of the business's financial potential. So when someone tells you that the SDE is this, that's not net profit. It's not the same as net profit. It just gives you an idea of how healthy financially the company is. The guy who's selling this business, he sent over the last 3 years, and the first 2 years were like at 320 and 350,000, but the last year was at $544,000. So he's like, oh my God, I had a great year. My income's, grown 40%. That means I should get 40% more for this business. Let's slow it down, buddy. Let's slow it down. Let's do the math. So this business needs a GM of $150,000 to run this business. Now, when they sent me this, I wasn't confirmed if either the seller or the broker, because sometimes you'll be dealing directly with the seller and sometimes you'll be dealing directly with the broker. I'm going to assume, and I'm going to walk you through my assumptions. I am not positive that SDE, that take home pay, is including this GM. I don't think it does because it's kind of high for this particular business model. So let's just go ahead and put that GM at $150,000. By the way, probably be at $170,000. All in, payroll tax, unemployment insurance, benefits, all that other stuff that you need to provide provide candidates that are working for you. And then they have about 10 to 15 full-time employees. That actually is considered in the SDE. Now let's talk about some other assumptions that we're going to make. So we're going to assume an SBA loan. You'll probably take an SBA 7 loan, but there's other loans that you could possibly take for this. We're going to assume 10 years. That's pretty typical. And we're going to assume 11% just to kind of make the math easy. This is going to be ballpark. Again, this is not exact. Make sure you work with a financial professional. I'm not a financial professional. We're not going to underwrite this deal live. We'd be here freaking forever. And I'm not that kind of guy who likes to look at the numbers like that. I just pay somebody and said, yo, give me the numbers. I can make a decision from there. Ballpark, you're looking at about $200,000 per year in loan repayment. This is known as debt service. So when you're in this situation, your goal is to be greater than or equal to 1.5 DSCR. DSCR means debt service coverage ratio. So how many dollars you have to pay each $1 of loan payments. I'll explain this a lot later as we continue on. So the rule of thumb is you want to be at equal to or greater than 1.5 of the DSCR in order to be safe. If you're at 1, that means you're basically working for free and you take home practically nothing. We're going to cover this in this example and this make a lot more sense. So this guy said he had a hot year. So his hot year was $544,000. Hot year basically means it's above average. It hasn't been typical. Oh, this is my best year ever. And a lot of sellers, whenever they're selling their company, especially if you're dealing directly with the seller and they're not being advised by a business broker who's selling a business, they'll say, hey, this is my best year ever. Let me base all of my financials on my best year ever. And maybe they just kind of went all out and like hustled. And maybe some of that's false. Maybe these are just sales, and maybe they took a loss. You don't really know. You need to audit this. This is why you need to audit this. All right. So let's just say the hot year, the SDE, the seller's discretionary earnings was $544,000. That doesn't include the GM. We're going to assume. I don't think it does. That's not clear. So I'm assuming again, go ahead and take that off. If we subtract $150,000 from $544,000, we get $354,000. Now remember, our debt service, our loan costs us $200,000 per year. So really simple. You want to take the $354,000 that's left after paying the GM and divide it by 200,000. Now, with that case, you're at 1.77, which is above the 1.5 rule of thumb. That's good. That's good. It's not great. It's comfortable for now, but it's not great. That's where we are currently, slightly above the 1.5 rule of thumb. If you're asking yourself, where did this guy get this number? It's from right here. You want to be greater than or equal to 1.5 of DSCR, the debt service cover ratio. How many dollars do you have to pay each $1 of loan payment? So for every dollar that you have to pay on a loan payment, how much more are you taking back? How much more are you keeping, basically? In this example, you're at a 1.77. Now that's based on the hot year. That's based on this hot year right now. It's not always a hot year. The guy just had a hot year. We call it a steady year, but to make it easy, think of it like an average year, or we call it a steady year, but think of it as an average year. On an average year, he's making $350,000. That's what he's making on average. Now he's got to pay the GM $150,000. He's got a $350 minus $150 is $200,000, which means $200,000 a year is left. Divide that by $200,000 for the loan payment. And now you're at 1.0, which is below the 1.5 rule of thumb. You're basically working for the bank. You're basically working for free there. I don't think that the numbers that you sent to me are strong enough to be able to jump in. It's below the 1.5 rule of thumb. So here's the verdict. What does the verdict look like? Let's look at it. The deal's not worth it. I would not do this deal. I think this deal is waiting to mess up. But If you wanted to do the deal, here's how I would do the deal. As a reminder, I am not a financial professional. I am a risk adverse entrepreneur, and I love these kinds of challenges. If you're looking for somebody to guide you, to mentor you, and to consult with you, I am available for all of the above. Just send me a message on all my social medias, leave a comment down below at Talented Mr. Salas on Instagram and Twitter, and I got you. Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Going back to this deal, I don't think this deal as it is worth it. Conventionally, I don't think that it's worth it. But if you wanted to make it work, if your heart was set on this parking lot lighting business, here's what I would do. Option A, I would buy right day one. If you remember, you mentioned that your plan was to get the job, buy the business, and run the business while having a job. That's going to be really hard. That's going to be really hard to do. On day one, let's put a proven GM in the seat, and you stay W-2 at your job, and you act as the chairman of this company. This means that this GM that you hire has to have experience in that niche, in that field. They have to have a proven track record. You cannot allow them to come in and learn on your dime because you're not going to be there to change the diapers if the diapers get dirty. So here's the workflow. Number one, keep the job at $250,000. Buy the business with a 10-year small business loan. Hire a day-to-day manager, a GM, on day one, and make sure the business pays the loans without you, Mr. M, inside of it. Now, here's how the finance works. So for right now, pay the steady year. Do not pay on the hot year. So you want to be roughly at about a 3 to 3.5 steady pay multiplier. That's fair. That's fair pricing. I'd say it's a little generous. I would probably go after an audit. I'd probably get them down to 1.5 to 1.75 to maybe 2. 3 to 3.5 is very generous. And I got something else for this guy. For right now, the fair and reasonable thing to do that would be fair for both parties is to pay the steady year now, because he hasn't had multiple hot years. He has had one hot year. What that would put you is roughly 1 million to 1.23 million. Now remember, like, we're not really that far off. The guy wanted 1.4 million. So basically coming down 200 grand, that's not that much. So if the guy really wants to get out of it, 200 grand to leave, it's not a bad deal. So get $1 million. Here's what I would do. I would put nothing, absolutely nothing down on this deal. That's what I would start with. I would be prepared to go all the way up to $100,000 cash in hand, cash in pocket. I would not go more for this particular deal with the way the financials have worked out now, especially after an audit. That's probably going to find some things that aren't so beneficial for the seller, unless their paperwork's tight. But I can already tell their paperwork's not tight. So for cash now, I would give them nothing to $100,000. I'd finance the rest with SBA. Now the SBA doesn't let you finance 100%. You have to have some kind of equity or skin in the game. So this is where the seller IOU comes in. So the seller would give you 10 to 20% on paper. So we call this hold paper. Shout out to my boy Roger who taught me that term. You would go to the seller and say, hey, do you want to hold paper? Like, what does that mean? Do you want to just like get paid to hold like a title, quote unquote, hold like a piece of paper, a stock, a little piece of paper, a little document that says, hey, I own 10 to 20% for a little bit, and this guy's going to slowly buy me out. So over the next 24 months, we're going to give them slow and cheap payments from the profits of the actual company. From the profits of the actual company. Keywords, profits of the actual company. So I would start at nothing. And I would say, hey, would you hold paper for 20%? I'm not going to pay anything down. I'm going to assume the company. I'm going to go ahead and get an SBA loan, and I'm going to put nothing of cash down. You'll get financed the 1.05 million to 1.23 million. You'll get that, but the rest you're going to hold on paper, and you're going to be on standby with slow and cheap payments for the next 2 years. And I would go down there, but I would fight for something like this, because I don't feel like this business has their stuff together. Maybe they're a nice guy or whatever, but hey, we're talking business right now. I would also want and request working capital included. So that basically means enough fuel, inventory, accounts receivables, so that your trucks can roll on day one. The last thing you want to do is get into this business that's very capital intensive and then not be able to run it on day one. Like, you need working capital, and he's going to get this. If he's owned this business, he knows, like, yeah, that makes total sense. You're going to need gas in the tank. You're going to need tools and this and that, make payroll for a couple of months. Like, you're going to need that working capital, whatever that looks like. Have somebody, ideally a neutral third party, agree to it. That's the best way for that to go down. And then he did have a hot year, though. Like, to be fair, so the guy had a hot year. So why not give him a chance to, hey, you proved it, so let's give you an option to earn out a bonus. The seller would get the last slice, whatever this 10 to 20% that they had the IOU on, only if the owner pay stays at 544 SDE. So after the first year, if it's at 544,000 SDE or more, just give it to him. Just give him whatever the 200,000 was left. Just pay him off. Maybe you come out of loss the first year. Cool. You bought the business. You own it in full now. You don't got to deal with this guy anymore. but it also gives them an opportunity to say like, hey, no, like I was in here, I was getting this. Let me earn my way out. So again, just a recap, we're going to have you keep the job at $250,000, buy the business with the 10-year small business loans. You're probably going to look at an SBA 7 loan. You're going to hire a day-to-day manager on day one, a GM, somebody's going to run this business for you like a champ, like a stud. And you're going to make sure that this business pays the loan and runs without you, Mr. M in it. Because remember, you aren't the owner operator here. You're the chairman. The finance works out like this. You're going to pay a steady year multiplier, not the hot year multiplier, of anywhere from 3 to 3.5. Again, I think this is a little too high. I would personally go 1.5, 1.75, maybe 2. 3 is very, very generous in my opinion, which would mean that person's going to get $1 to $1.23 million. They're going to get that from the bank. You're not going to pay that out of your pocket. The bank is not going to finance it 100%. So they need to have some type of skin in the game. So for your part of cash now, cash to the seller, what I would do, absolutely nothing to $100,000. And then I would tell the seller, hey, for that other 10 or 20% that the SBA isn't going to finance, I'll give you slow payments and cheap payments for the next 24 months. I do give you the option to earn it out later only if we cross the 400 and the 544 SDE. If you were able to prove that your hot year wasn't a hot year, that is maybe now your new norm for X, Y, and Z reasons, that's what I would do. And in order to watch my back, I would have a working capital clause included where you have enough fuel, inventory, accounts receivables, so you can make your payroll and just run your business, because these businesses are very capital and very labor intensive. Now, I would also add a rainy day holdback, also known as the escrow, of 3 to 5% for 9 to 12 months. So what does that mean? That means 3 to 5% of all earnings. Hey, we're just going to put it over here just for a rainy day because we don't know what's going to happen. We could get sued. Something can happen. It's just good business. They'll understand that. They'll get that. This is not unreasonable. This is a just in case. This is a just emergency fund. Now, here's where it comes in. Here's where the transition comes in. So the seller is going to stay for 10 hours a week for starting at 12 months. Work 6 months is a minimum that I would stay with this, but 12 months is where I would start at. Seller, you're going to stay in this company for the next 12 months and train the manager and hand off clients to me and as a chairman and the manager for the next year. They also have to sign a non-compete because you don't want them going off and just stealing your clients. It's not good business. So here's how you pitch the seller on this for option A. I will pay you full value now for the steady year, not the hot year, and you will earn the rest if the hot year is real. That is fair to both of us. It's fair. You're going to pay them the full value for the steady year. Definitely fight there for sure, especially if you audit them and you find some naughty stuff, and then give them the opportunity to say like, hey, give them this earn back out, this prove it bonus, this earn out. Like let them earn it. If it's there, it's going to motivate them a little bit more. You do want the seller to be motivated, especially if they're going to be transitioning. Now, here's the note. This is the deal breaker here. If you cannot hit the 150 rule on the steady year, remember, going back all the way to the finance of the deal. If you cannot hit this, your goal is to have greater than or equal to 1.5 DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. If you cannot do this, if this is not something you can do with the numbers that they're providing, lower the price. That's it. It's not unreasonable. It's fair. Just someone like, hey man, I can't hit it. I can't hit my 1.5. This guy on YouTube, Frank, he says that you shouldn't be doing this kind of deal. And I trust Frank. I want to do whatever he does. So I wouldn't buy the deal if I couldn't get it for the $1.50 rule at the steady year price, not the hot year price. I'm going to lower price. I'm going to try to work with them and negotiate. I'm going to tell them why. And I'm going to push for more seller IOU. Maybe we can go a little higher. I'm not sure what the limits on the SBA 7 loan would be on that. You have to work with a professional on that. Maybe I would give them more of a prove it bonus. So I would incentivize them even more and make it to where I can acquire the business so I can hit that 1.5 rule and bonus them if they're able to like help us perform. Or I just walk, I'm out. Hey, like I'm done. So that's how you own a business without becoming the business. That's option A. That's what I would do if you were to still move forward with this. There's still a deal here. Just the deal right now as it is, it's not worth it. It's not a good deal as it is. All right. So that was option A. Not a bad deal. Where it's at right now, it's a bad deal. So you got to work with it. They got to work with you, but it's doable. You can make it work. If you can make it work, make it work. Now, there's a totally other option which is where I would probably lean to if I was you, especially because you already have existing contacts, especially because you already have your father who's got contacts, allegedly, supposedly, at the state and local level. Maybe. We'll see how that works out. So here's option B. Here's what I would do if I was you for option B. So option B would be a JV partnership. A JV is known as a joint venture. Partner first, buy later is the motto. So Mr. M and his dad, Mr. M's dad, What up, Mr. M's dad? Shut up, man. How you doing? So you both are going to bring in new commercial and municipal accounts now. You're going to split the profits on the business with the seller. So anything that Mr. M and his dad brings in, you're going to split the profit. Mr. M then gets an option to buy the company in 12 to 24 months at a fair price. We discussed what a fair price would be earlier. Based on the steady year, not the hot year. Based on the average, based on the steady year, not the hottest year. So here's what the terms would be. Super simple. It's a super simple split on new business. 40 to 60% of the profit, not the revenue, of the profit goes to Mr. M. So you bring in a deal, the net profit's 400 grand. Let's say you split it 50-50, 200 to the owner, 200 to Mr. M. Boom. The way to make this work is you guys have to have clear roles. Now these clear roles, they got to be super clear. So what does the seller do? The seller has their crews fulfill the work. What does Mr. M and his dad do? Well, they open doors, shake hands, kiss babies, and they close deals. And they start to standardize pricing. During this period, there has to be weekly reporting on the weekly jobs they're doing, their gross margin, as well as customer service days. Because Mr. M and his dad are going to go out and close these deals. Well, they got to service the customers and let the customers know that things are going very well with their parking lot light install. Now, both parties here would sign a non-compete, and the seller would have to agree that the first right to buy goes to Mr. M if he tries to sell. They got to agree to that. Otherwise, Mr. M is just building his business and not taking part of the upside. So here's how I would pitch the seller on this. So what I do is I bring in accounts, property managers, campuses, municipalities. I create a standardized rate cards. I convert one-off calls into quarterly routes and bundles. So instead of selling a light system one time, I'm going to sell a light system plus maintenance, where we come out every quarter and change the light bulbs, clean off all of the grease on the little light cover. I don't know what else you want to do. Christmas lights, all this stuff, July 4th fireworks, whatever else you want to throw in, and create bundles. So I close deals. I service the contracts for steady income. So here's what you do. So you run the crews. You keep the quality high and you stay 10 hours a week for intros and training. And then this is how we split it. On the new revenue that I generate, I get 40 to 60% of profit. Pick a number. 50-50 is good here. I'm good with 50-50. On your old customers, you keep it. I'm here to contribute. I'm here to add. I'm here to multiply. I'm here to augment. I am not here to take away with what you're already doing. I'm here to make your company better. I'm here to partner with you. And then maybe I buy you. I have the first right to buy. It's in our contract. And that allows me to either get SBA financing or round up the homies and get investor financing. And I'm going to buy you out at the steady seller discretionary earning, not the hot year. So that's my option A. And that's my option B. Option A is I'm going to negotiate really hard, but fair. And I'm going to have them stay on for 6 to 12 months. To help me have some continuity, make sure I keep the staff, make sure I keep the manager, the GM that I bring in trained, and to make sure I keep the clients on there. I'm going to have the rainy day holdback or the escrow where I keep 3 to 5% just for a rainy day for an emergency fund. I'm going to give them the opportunity to earn out that higher multiplier, that hot year, if you will, if it's true, if they help me get to that point and stay at that point. I want them to give me working capital and make sure I have enough for like gas in the trucks and payroll for the next 3 months. That would be super sweet. And I'm going to really, really negotiate hard to pay them either nothing down, and I wouldn't go more than 100,000. And I would have them hold paper or have a seller IOU on about 10 to 20% of the company. And I would then buy back that 10 to 20% from the profits of the company at a very, very slow or low rate. But I have to make sure that I'm hitting my 1.5 DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. Now, if you made it all the way to this point, you're a freaking business nerd. And I love that about you. And I made you a promise at the beginning of the video. My promise was I was going to give you 2 special plays, just some food for thought. So here's what I would do. So number 1, I would start a service-based business. I would actually get out of this business and I would start a service-based business completely. You have low overhead. It's easy to start. Once you start up, get a few customers and you hire others only when needed. So this could be anything. It could be an auto detail shop. It could be you during pressure washing. It could be you running a marketing agency. It could be you doing possible sales. It could be you doing customer service. I know you have a tech background, so maybe doing some tech build outs, whatever you have skills, whatever you want to do, just a service-based business. Now, once you start getting some traction, once you have a product market fit, then you start hiring other people. The cons of this is while you have your job earning $250,000 a year, you're going to go to your job and then you're going to work 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and you're going to work weekends. The price, man, what it costs. This is going to be very challenging up front. It's actually really, really hard to start a business. It's a lot easier to buy a business because a business, it already exists. Businesses already exist. They're already there. They've already got it figured out. So creating a business from scratch, if you've never done it, is really hard. Now, I've created multiple businesses from scratch. I love it. Still freaking hard. I know that's going to be a grind, man. It's going to be a super grind. I'm budgeting 3 to 9 months to just figuring it out and like getting it right. The pros though, you don't got to deal with sellers. They're a pain in the butt. And the capital that you were going to use to buy somebody else's business, you can just build your own, and you can keep it lean like that. A little bit more cash in your pocket, especially after you're going through a divorce and you have attorneys and things might get ugly. And now you got to pay alimony and child support. This might be a safer play for you if you're looking at your pocketbook. So that's the bonus play number one. Bonus play number two is, man, just make $250,000 at your job. Most people take 4 to 5 years to make $250,000. You get nights and weekends off and you get no stress outside of your job. There's nothing wrong with making $250,000 a year, man. A lot of people are on the internet saying, oh man, you gotta have a business, you gotta do this. Man, your $250,000 is what more than 98% of entrepreneurs make. Probably more than 99.5 of what entrepreneurs make. You know, the average entrepreneur makes like $48,000. Do you know that they make less than $50,000? The average entrepreneur makes less than a Pizza Hut driver, than a Domino's driver. That's the average entrepreneur. You really want to go through all of this to do that? $50,000 is a lot of money, man. You know, you'll live fine. Even if you got to pay child support, alimony, all the BS, you're good, man. It's $250,000 a year. That's not bad. I'm sure you're going to get bonus and incentives and promotions. Why not just focus on the career? So these are a couple of options that I wanted to give you. I know that you reached out via Instagram and that you were looking for some support. If you have watched the video this far, show some love, man, because I really went in on this. I felt if you didn't feel like I went in, let me know too. Like, no, that was weak, that was whack. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. I don't think I did, but maybe I did. Whatever. If you are interested in getting consulting, I love to go super deep into consulting. For me, your business or any business, it's like a puzzle that I get to solve, and I get to look at all the components, and I get to say, okay, like, what would I do here? How would I approach this? What's the best move? What's the best way to approach this? As you're starting, grow in your business, as you're starting to get into the next level of your career, it's always a great idea to have a consultant, a coach, a mentor to really guide you and advise you. My name is Frank Salas. I'm internationally known as the talented Mr. Salas. If you haven't liked the video, like it, man. Throw your boy a like. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm constantly throwing things out here to help you be a better entrepreneur. I'll see you in the next video. Mr. M's dad. Shout out to you guys.